Hi everybody, it's Selvidge Knits, Sam and Kat, and we are here today with Denise Bayron we're at Stitches West right now. Mm-hmm. We were able to snag her and we were here to ask a few questions to her. If you guys don't know who she is, you need to look her up. She is Bayron Handmade on Instagram. That's her Instagram handle.
Yes.
And so we just are going to ask her a few questions today, and so you guys can get to know her better and start knitting her awesome patterns. So the first question is, which came first for you, knitting or sewing?
Neither. My first fiber arts was crochet.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I learned as a little girl. Our neighbor was our caretaker, so I was raised by a single mom.
Okay.
And so our caretaker was our neighbor, and she taught my sister and I how to crochet, and I was about 4.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, really early in life.
That's awesome.
And although my memory is horrible, I do remember really enjoying it and practicing a lot and getting better, through scarves and hats and blankets, sweaters, all of it.
Yeah.
But then came knitting, and knitting came to me kind of a roundabout way, but it's an interesting story.
We love interesting stories.
Okay. So if we fast forward to about my 30s, in 2008, 2009, there was the economy crash.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I lived in New York City, and my partner and I at the time decided that we were going to move somewhere where the cost of living was less than New York City.
Right.
So he had family in the Midwest, in Wisconsin, and so we moved to Madison, which is a college town.
Okay.
But a lot of creative people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we moved there, and I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends. And within the first week, maybe 3 days in, I decided that I was going to try to put myself out there and try to find other like-minded people. Mm-hmm. So I went to a fair trade festival.
Ooh.
Yes, you like fair trade.
Yes.
And so, sure enough, behind the booth, there was this woman that was beaming joy and happiness. She's now my super close personal friend.
Oh.
But she was the store manager for an organization that's called Serve International. And what they do is that through their website and their catalog, they have a paper catalog, mm-hmm. they create a global marketplace for artisans and farmers around the world.
Oh, that's really cool.
For their handicrafts.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's neat.
And so I asked her, can we be friends? And she politely was like, yes. And then I asked her, can I volunteer? I showed up, I didn't have a job, I had some time. So the very next day I showed up in the store and I volunteered. And then after about a week, they offered me a job, and it was it wasn't a money job, it was a love job. I worked 4 hours a week, right. just so that I could be in the mix,
right.
And that I could get to know people.
Yes.
And she was a knitter, she is an expert, sock knitter. I'm talking DPNs, super tight gauge, amazing sock knitter. So she was my first seed, that planted the love of knitting in my heart, because she would do it. We would hang out and she'd knit. But then I was also surrounded by all these beautiful handmade things, and I got to learn that fashion can be handmade and high quality and locally sourced and organic.
Yes.
And so it was kind of eye-opening for me. So if we fast forward a little bit more, just to get to the point, after some time of living in Madison, I wanted to sort of broaden my horizons and see the world a little bit.
Yes.
So I sold about 80% of my personal belongings. Just got rid of it.
Wow.
Down to the bare minimum. I kept one pair of sheets, a couple of jeans, just a few things so that if I came back to the United States, I left. If I came back to the United States, I'd have a little seed pod so that I could start life again.
Right.
Okay, but I sold everything, and I decided I was going to live abroad for a year. The organization, the Fair Trade Organization, got me a visa to volunteer for them in Thailand. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Awesome.
So at the time, I got a certificate to teach English to non-native English speakers, TESOL, ESL. And I went to Thailand, and I became a corporate volunteer. So I taught the women of the northern tribes, the hill tribes. They spoke no English, and I spoke no Thai, but I had to learn, and they had to learn English. So I taught them English, and because of our exchange, we were in their corporate offices, but they also made the beautiful handicrafts at that location. So I got to experience seeing them making all these beautiful things by hand. That was seed number 2. Make sense?
Yes.
So when I came back to the United States a year later, I traveled through 8 different countries, came back to the United States, And I found Sarah, my friend, and I was like, teach me all the things. And she was like, that's nice, I'm busy, you figure it out. So I used YouTube. That was a really long way to tell you how I learned how to knit. But she was my inspiration. Then I spent all this time, like intimate time with these women that were expert sewists, yeah?
Yes.
And I sat by them, by their sewing machines, and I watched them make these beautiful like purses and garments that were embroidered and sort of like hand needlework. And so when I came back, I was ready to learn all the things, and YouTube was what I used to learn how to knit.
That is awesome.
I am. Every time I talk to you, I am so excited to hear what you have to say. You have such
story.
You have lived a really amazing life.
I've lived a very full life, yes.
Well, on that note...
Wait, there's more. You asked me about sewing.
We did!
Yes,
right?
we did.
So I didn't know how to sew. Okay, so sewing is recent. Probably definitely my most recent fiber art.
You would not know that by looking at her Instagram.
I know. The patterns that you have put out there, I'm just like, I wish I knew how to sew because they're so good.
You can learn.
I intend to.
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how I came to sewing. So let's fast forward to last summer. Yeah. I'm now living in California. I've been here for about 2 years. And the first thing I did when I arrived in California, I moved to Berkeley and then Oakland, was I looked for a local yarn shop. Yeah. So I found two. There's Black Squirrel Berkeley.
Yes.
In Berkeley. Chase is here. She's amazing. I love her. Hi, Chase. And then, if you're watching, and then I found a Verb for Keeping Warm. And they are less than a mile away from my house, which is like dangerous territory. Yeah.
Very jealous.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I went there, and they are warm and welcoming and willing to teach you all the things, and they have all the classes and all the seminars.
Yes.
I could basically live there.
I could live there.
Yeah.
I wish I did live there.
Yeah. So I was, knitting and kind of knitting sweaters and doing my own thing, but they invited me to join their, once per month, they have an event that's called Seam Allowance, where makers, it's kind of like a sew and tell, where you show up once a month and you talk about what you've been working in the last month. And so you build a relationship with all the other makers, and you follow people's progression from one project to the next, yeah?
That's really cool.
It's super
That's really
cool.
neat.
The best thing is that everyone is a kind of an expert in their own thing.
Right.
So it's a really good resource.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't have to pay for a bus because you can use your friends to learn from.
Well, and
it's
that's
an
the thing
interchange.
that I love about this community too.
There's so many things to wax poetic about when it comes to the people who we knit with and sew with, but it's really cool because even if you're not really skilled at one thing, everyone has something to offer, and we can all share and learn from each other no matter where you are. Even beginners might have learned something different in a different way that can help somebody who's super, super experienced.
Absolutely.
And it's those kind of settings where you can learn from each other are just really amazing.
Yeah.
Verb has a really special energy where it's, non-competitive.
Yes.
Yeah. Really supportive, and they really foster that environment where you feel like every time you walk in, you have like a little bit of creative nourishment. Yeah. So I went to, so to get to the point, I went to my first event for Seam Allowance. And so the whole premise behind it is that you make not a vow, but like you promise. Yeah, that you're gonna make 25% of your wardrobe by hand. So,
it's a big promise.
It's kind of a big commitment, but it pushed me, beyond my comfort zone, because I was sitting knitting sweaters, but 25% of my wardrobe can't be sweaters, right? So I showed
Especially
up,
in California.
So I showed up to this event, and the women there, oh my God, there was one woman who made a coat, and I could not believe it was the kind of make that you couldn't buy in a boutique, because it was so expertly done with like pattern matching, the stripes and the sleeve matching the button band, you know what I mean? Like that kind of attention to detail.
Yeah.
Someone else had made a backpack. Yeah, someone else had made a tank top. My friend Casey had made a tank top. Someone else had made a dress with like a racer back. It was amazing, really stimulating. And I walked away from there like, if they can do it, I can do it.
I love that attitude.
Yeah, I was like, I can do that. So I asked one of the ladies at Verb, one of the employees, I said, can you teach me how to thread a machine? Really kind of shyly. And she was like, yes, you can come to my house and I will teach you how to thread a machine.
That's awesome.
I was not going to let that opportunity go by.
No.
So I immediately that week I went to her house. She taught me how to thread a machine. I then went to Joann Fabrics and I bought a $90, really inexpensive because I didn't know how to do anything, right? So I wasn't going to invest in the most expensive machine. But I used a coupon. I bought a sewing machine. I went home. I used YouTube. Mm-hmm. I learned how to thread that machine. And then I bought, my first pattern ever was Pants Number 1 by 100 Acts of Sewing. So the designer is Sonia Phillip.
Yeah.
Sonia is a designer of my heart. So the premise, I suppose, behind her patterns is that they're simple to make and simple to wear.
I've also heard that she has this sort of building.
Yes.
So you start with basic skills and then as you go through her patterns, you are learning and learning as you go along.
Exactly.
That's where we should start.
Yes. Okay, so here's the kicker. Not only does she create a simple pattern with super clear instructions, but there are a series of her videos on creativebug.com. Yeah, where you can get a subscription. It's really inexpensive, and I think it's free for a few weeks or something. Mm-hmm. Downloaded Creative Bug, got her classes, looked at the pattern. There was the new machine, made a pair of pants in a day and a half, pants. Yeah, but her videos are truly take this seam, sew it here, zigzag this, sew the next one. It's just so well spelled out that the success that I had from making one pair of pants bolstered me, gave me the confidence that I was oh, okay, I can make pants, I can make anything. Done and done. Thank you, Sonia.
Awesome. That's actually really inspiring. I've been intimidated to start sewing.
Yeah.
And just the way you're talking about it, I was, oh, well, that sounds like maybe I could do that. That's really, you're inspiring me.
I'm telling you, you can.
We're going home
You can
sewing.
because there are so many resources available, and if you surround yourself with other makers, you can learn from their skill set.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, there's
Janet, we're coming for you.
blueprint. Oh, oh yeah, Janet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
awesome.
That's all.
So how did you make the jump from making to actually designing?
Okay, so I strongly believe that if you want to make something, you can make it. You can find the resources, you can teach yourself to make it. So in terms of designing, my first sweater pattern was the Cardigan. Mm-hmm. I looked on, I've been on Ravelry forever, and I looked on Ravelry for what I wanted, what I had in my head,
Right.
and it wasn't available. And so I made it. I just grabbed some yarn and some needles and went for it.
But I just don't get how it's that easy. That's what I wanted, so I just made it. I'm there's so many things I want that I'm not sure how to.
I call it, you can, because I call it creative playtime. So when I say I made it, I don't mean I sat down and I'm so brilliant that I magically figured out the stitch count and how much to cast on and but I made it, I ripped back, I tried again, I failed, and I kept going. And sometimes it takes one try, sometimes it takes 10 tries, but you can figure it out. The same thing with sewing. Let's not talk prototypes. For the jumpsuit pattern, the Phoenix jumpsuit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah?
If you guys
Go
have not
look at
checked
it.
out her
Actually,
Instagram,
we'll put it up
we're
here.
gonna put links because
Yay.
We're gonna put it up here because you got to see it.
So for the Phoenix jumpsuit, that was an interesting make because I was on to shape the top. I had that drawn out, sketched into a notebook for months and months and months. And I originally had the shape of it, in my mind, was going to be something knit. Yeah?
Oh.
But I thought, I bet you I can cut that into fabric and I could make something cool with that bodice, and then I could slap some pants on it, put a waistband on it, and that'll be some cool jumpsuit, right? So I drew it in my notebook, and then I drew it full scale, body size, and I hold the paper up to my body and see, yeah, but the angles aren't right, and so I ball it up, start again. And I must have gone through it a million times, and sometimes I'm on speakerphone with other friends and saying, what are you doing? I'm drafting, I'm having fun, it's creative playtime, yeah? And I draw and draw and draw some more until it fits, until it's right. And so there's a little bit of flat lay, right? It's interesting because you're taking two-dimensional shapes,
Right.
Flat paper, to be draped on a three-dimensional body.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Which can be complicated.
Oh
And
yeah, I can only
you-
imagine.
You have to learn. So, okay, my recommendation for anyone who wants to go from making to designing is you cannot skip the work, right? So I signed up for sewing classes. I signed up at the City College of San Francisco and I took sewing classes. I went to the library and I got a giant stack of books. And I just hold myself up, since last summer, hold myself up in the house and read the books and figured out how to do a shoulder drop and how to do a crotch curve and but you have to be willing, if there's something you want to get to the goal, you have to be willing to learn how to do it correctly.
Yes.
Especially if you want to make a pattern and share it with other people, right?
Yes.
It behooves you to be responsible, educate yourself, use all the available resources, but if I can do it, you can do it, anybody can do it. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm super inspired to go out and do something new right now.
I know. I'm like, can we just go get a sewing thing?
Hold on 1 second, guys.
We're
We
gonna
have to
get
go
sewing
get sewing machines right now.
Yes.
Yeah, but there are a lot of resources and a lot of generous people, a lot of generous designers that are willing to teach you
That's really,
their ways.
again, this community is just...
It's amazing.
It really is.
Yeah, we
So
really are blessed to be part of it.
Supportive, and it's so great to see people lifting each other up and helping each other and reaching out a hand and be like, hey, you want to learn? Let me teach you.
Yes.
And just being there for each other and learning from each other and growing from each other and inspiring each other. It's really what I love about this place.
Yeah. And when you find those people, you hold on.
Yeah.
Right? They're gems. Hold
Like
on,
a
befriend
barnacle.
them, and be and be
Don't
willing
let
to
go.
give back, right? Because we all have resources. So if I want to learn how to sew, maybe I can teach. Maybe there's a skill that's transferable from an old job or something else that I did that I can teach you
Right.
how to do.
That's so neat.
Yeah.
So speaking of like past jobs and stuff that you've had, I know that you said that you traveled to Thailand and you've done a lot of like different things and volunteer, but what is like your work background?
That's a very loaded question. I've had a lot of jobs. Let's see. So I think that in terms of work, I've and studies,
Yeah.
I've had a lot of other roles that, with transferable skills to get me to this point.
Okay.
Yeah. So like in school, I studied double math and double science.
Oh my God, a girl after my own heart. You know, I love the math and the science.
You do?
Yeah.
What? Okay, perfect. So yeah, I would say that my two best subjects were math and English, which makes sense why I taught English, right?
Which also makes my heart warm because I'm an English girl.
Yay! Oh, yeah. So we're all friends. Yes. So that was like in high school. I was like on a fast track program with students, with the same students for all of high school. We were all in a program called Gateway to Higher Education.
Okay.
And so it was an intensive, and so it was double math. So clearly the double math really helps with pattern writing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then my love for English also helps with pattern writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having it clearly spelled out.
Yeah.
Very important.
Being able to communicate your ideas.
Yeah.
In a way that's succinct.
Yes.
Yes. So that's good.
The best written patterns are the ones where you're reading through and they're really clearly, you know, the math has to be right, but also that the words has to be right, guys.
Because then that has to be
Or this happens.
yeah. But if it's not like if you have any question of did they mean this or this, then you don't know, then you second guess yourself and you're not sure. So I love it when it's like you cannot interpret this incorrectly.
Correct.
So it's so good.
Yeah. So that helps. And then for college, I wanted to go to school for fashion because I was born and raised in New York, so there's FIT, right?
Right.
Yes.
And I always loved fashion.
Yeah.
But my mom was like, no, mija, no, eso no va a trabajar. No. So I didn't go to school for fashion, but I studied business. And clearly, if you're going to be designing, you have to be entrepreneurial. So thanks, Mom. So I studied business. But I always held on to my love for fashion. So I took my business skills and applied them to the fashion industry. And I worked a few jobs after college. And ultimately, the big fashion job was I started working for a public relations agency. I started as an operations manager and worked my way up to vice president. Yes. So what that gave me was exposure.
Your life, man. Write a book.
I can write books.
Write a book.
So what that gave me was exposure to designers, right? A real personal relationship and their process. and their inspiration, and I got to go to like New York Fashion Week and other runway shows and things of that nature, so that I really got to understand how clothing is made and how it was a public relations agency, so how it's marketed and such. Unfortunately, after several years, after I was in the VP role for about 8 years or so, I got burnt out. I really did.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I got burnt out because it was a matter of values. So clothing is fun and beautiful, but the industry teaches you that you need to have the next cool thing, like this season's outfit, and you need to have it now. It's urgent, which makes last season's super expensive accessory disposable. Yeah, and that somehow didn't jive with what was happening in my heart at the time. Yeah. So I left the fashion industry, took an insane pay cut, like mega bucks, really broke, and I went into personal wellness. So I had to sort of transfer the skills to get to personal wellness. So I took a job as a marketing director for a wellness center, and they had me like develop the whole wellness. It was a physical therapy practice that wanted to have a wellness center.
Okay.
And so they were like, "This is your baby, you make it." And so I hired personal trainers and yoga teachers, and took all the classes and taught classes for like diabetic patients and such. And so in terms of wellness, I'm still a certified personal trainer, yoga teacher, and Pilates instructor, which helps with my own personal wellness and my well-being. Yeah.
I love how your values are really have taken kind of the shape of your life. Like you're using that to decide where you're going and how.
Yes.
I'm going to say it again, you're inspiring me.
It's very inspiring.
But I think it's really important. If you believe strongly enough in something, then it should influence your decision making, right?
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what I felt that, working in fitness and wellness had that fashion did not have is that I had a real impact in people's lives.
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like I was pushing lipstick and designer jeans for a long time, and now I'm able to really one-on-one, then help someone else feel good in their skin, feel good in their bodies, help them feel good in terms of like how they see themselves, and their place in the world, and empower them to do more and feel stronger and feel better. Yeah. And that gives me true meaning, impact.
And you're right, in this world that's so needed, there's so many things telling us we're not good enough, we're not doing the right things, we need the newest thing, we need to buy, we need to move faster.
It's so easy to be uncomfortable in your own skin. Exactly. So many people are. I mean, we work in a high school and we see it daily with young kids.
Yes.
And it's so heartbreaking.
Yes.
And trying to explain to them what really matters, and that
how
they
you are
matter.
important.
Yes. And we see it, and that so many more people need to be having those that outward impact on the world.
Yeah.
And to value it as something more important than,
money sometimes.
Money.
Because you're broke. But so if we bring it full circle, having worked in the fashion industry, of course I never lost my love for design. Right? I never lost my love for fashion and clothes and shoes and all those things. But now also learning about, in order to become a personal trainer and a yoga teacher, I had to study anatomy. I had to study body mechanics. I had to learn how, as women, where we hold on to body fat, and different body types, and how the body changes. For example, when you reach forward, there's scapular winging, your shoulder blades are moving, and how that affects how you cut an arm side. That it's different in the front than from the back, or like
all the things that you
does
think
it make
about.
sense?
No, it does, and it's stuff like, because again, you think, I'm gonna knit it, I'm gonna make a pattern. But the
scapular winging.
Scapular winging, guys.
You have to know about that.
Yeah. And so that, so you reach forward, you don't want your shirt to bust out in the back.
You don't.
That's not a good look.
No, and then you also just feel sad about yourself.
Especially if you took all that
And
time to
then you
make it and
realize
then
it
you bust
wasn't
out the
your fault.
shoulder.
It wasn't your fault. I know.
Yeah.
But
But
it was your scapular winging.
Also in terms of like, so how these careers, all these paths that I've taken, how they come together, we think about like when you're standing as compared to when you're sitting, right? Informs how you cut a crotch curve, right? because the skin spreads when you sit down,
Yes.
right? Well, you don't want a wedgie, right?
No, I don't.
So being able to work with hundreds of people and watching their body mechanics, how they move and their patterns of movement and how the different body types perform in movement has also been a skill set that informs my design.
Someone
make
signed
sense?
this lady on for a book. I'm just saying.
Actually, someone
You have
gave-
so much wisdom to impart, though.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
So glad we met you.
Oh, I'm so grateful to meet you.
I'm serious, man. This is
We've
just so much
still
awesome
been
information.
fangirling.
Yeah,
Ever
we're
since-
still fangirling.
Ever since we met you at
Vogue.
At Vogue.
Yeah,
We've
but
been
then,
kind of.
but then it's mutual
was like-
fangirling
it was
because
like
I saw you and I was
Yeah.
like, Selvage Knits, hi! I've seen all your episodes.
Which was so fun.
I know, we
Seriously.
It could just be mutual though.
Mutual fangirling happening here.
Yes.
Well, on that note, speaking of design, I've noticed that your sweaters have a lot, your knit sweaters as well as some of your sewing patterns have sort of a structural piece to it. So what kind of inspires you to design that way, that your specific style, what inspires you to make it that way?
Well, I think that having been to Thailand, yeah, sad news. I showed up and I sold everything, right? About 80%. And I took 2 giant hard cases, suitcases, to Thailand, thinking I'm going to travel the world with these mega cases. And I quickly pared that down to 1 carry-on bag because I had to figure out what was my color palette. Yeah, I had to pare it down. What was my color palette? What are the shapes that fit my body? And what makes me, again, talking about what makes me feel comfortable in my skin, yeah? And what is uniquely me? How do I want to present in the world? How do I want...
Kondo. What sparks joy?
Joy.
Yeah.
I love Marie Kondo. I've seen every episode. Okay, so having to pare down my belongings to a specific color palette, almost like a capsule wardrobe.
Yes.
Yes? So that everything goes with everything else taught me what I really need versus what I want. Yeah, because I could want all the things, right? And want to buy all the things.
That's really smart.
Yeah. So when it comes to design, I try to think about like what shapes fit my body. What do I really need? Yeah. What's practical? Yeah. And so that informs a little bit of the minimalism.
I love that.
Which some people might read as totally boring, right? Because I don't really
think so.
explore a lot of color. And it's not that I don't like color. I love color. But I guess I try to keep the
Well, I mean,
keep it tight.
Yes. Yes.
we talk all the time. Sam is all about the neutrals. She
I
wears
am.
blacks, grays, and browns, and like
I joke that I have like a Johnny Cash wardrobe. It's like black, gray,
That's me.
white.
Look at that. Great. Black, gray, black. Boom.
And there's
Black,
nothing
black,
wrong though
yeah.
with that. Like you have to find where you are, and while there are really popular patterns out there that are really, really, not you, but you want to make them because that's what everyone's making.
Yeah.
You do have to think about like what you're making and what you're going to do with it, and if you're going to use it. It's one of the reasons I do samples all the time, is
Yeah.
because then I can knit things that I wouldn't necessarily make for myself, but I can
Oh.
do it. I
You
can
have
make
the
it. I can have the
experience of
experience,
knitting
but
it.
then it goes to someone who's going to use it. Whereas, because like I like to do different things than necessarily what is
Maybe the most popular.
pattern right now.
That's a really great idea.
Yeah.
Because it is important to figure out what you want when you're knitting, and not just make
Not just
to make.
accumulate stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how are you going to spend your resources?
Yeah, and I mean, yarn can be expensive, and especially supporting these small businesses and stuff. You want to make sure that your money is going to something you're going to use.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of pattern making and design is that just because I knit it in gray doesn't mean you can't make it in orange and purple and
Right.
all the other colors.
If that's
right?
what's good for you, absolutely.
And
So-
there are several of the yarn dyers here who they have patterns that are Stephen West patterns.
Yes.
But they are done up in neutrals.
Yes.
And you're like, I didn't even know that could happen. And
Yeah.
vice versa, you can take something that you've seen in neutrals and do it up
Jazz
bright
that
and
thing
crazy.
up.
Yeah.
And that's one of the cool thing about the maker community is you can tailor this stuff to
You have the power to make it yours, right?
Like someone told me this week,
Mhm.
you're the boss of your knitting.
Hey, I like that.
You're the boss
You're
of
the
your
boss of
knitting.
your knitting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So if you have a vision, like if you can see a pattern that's
Yeah.
a little neutral,
yeah.
you can make it colorful.
So that leads us to our question that we ask everybody.
Okay.
So again, we've named ourselves Selvage because knitting in this community and doing this now is kind of what keeps us from unraveling. Mm-hmm. So what keeps you from unraveling?
Probably, I like to lift heavy things. So I like to work out.
Okay.
Yeah. So exercising, I guess the same way this one success with sewing helped me to feel like I can sew all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Because knitting and sewing and writing spreadsheets and grading is very sedentary.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Sitting down.
Yes.
Most of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So every day I try to make a point of going to the gym and moving my body, even if it's 15 minutes. Yeah. So I like to lift heavy things. Yeah. If I can lift 100 pounds, I can do anything. Yeah.
I feel like that would actually be really empowering. Maybe we should
It
start
makes you
lifting
feel
weights.
kind of like, yes, I got this. Yeah.
Yes.
It makes me feel capable. Yeah. And I think it adds longevity. I'm in my 40s, so being able to.
You
punch-
said that the other day, and I was like,
I don't know if I
what?
believe that.
I don't.
Yeah.
She's
And so being able to like put on some mitts and punch a boxing bag, yeah.
Ooh.
So it's a great form of cardio. It's fun and it's really cathartic. Yeah. I really like battle ropes. Yeah, you can have power slams with balls and ropes. It's really fun. And then the other side of it, I really enjoy yoga and Pilates because they're more gentle and more mindful, kind of like what we were doing with the alternate nostril breathing. And so there are ways and channels of blending weightlifting, right? Yeah, personal training, yoga, and Pilates to just try to stay young, stay mobile, and feel good.
Love that.
Yeah. And I like hiking. Being in tree cover makes my soul go, yeah. So yeah. And living in California, you get to hike by the ocean.
That's the one thing I missed from when I lived in California was the hiking.
Oh, you
up here.
have to come back so we could go hiking.
Hiking buddy.
I'm inspired to now work out, so get back into yoga. I'm inspired to do so many
Let's
things.
do all the things right now.
I'm feeling very motivated and pumped after that.
So we need to get
We're
on
gonna
to
do
the
it
rapid fire questions so we can get on to some. We got a list
my
of
God,
to-do
we've
things.
been going for a while.
No, wait. Oh, and I didn't mean like that. I mean we gotta go.
Now we
gotta go sew
We
things.
want to go do.
So now is our favorite part of the interview process: rapid fire questions. So what we're gonna do? I'm just gonna say some questions. Seriously, I'm doing this good today. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and if you can just tell us whatever comes to your head first.
Okay, that's
all right. So, would you rather be able to see 10 minutes into your future or the future of someone else?
Oh my God.
Just 10 minutes, that's all you got.
10 minutes? Probably my own. Yeah, my own. So I could do something about it.
Prepare.
Yeah, prepare. That's a good thing. Ooh, control freak. Okay, go.
Favorite guilty pleasure snack?
Chocolate. Bar none.
Yes.
Chocolate and dates. Yes.
Love dates
And figs. I don't know about figs. But
I love figs.
You like figs? Okay.
Oh my gosh.
And raspberries. Chocolate and raspberries.
Chocolate-covered raspberries.
Chocolate covered raspberries. Yes. Listen to her. She knows what she's talking about.
If you could have any one superpower.
Ooh, I would give myself an extra 3 hours a day. Is that possible?
Yes,
I guess.
you can have
That
whatever
counts.
superpower you want.
Just so I can sleep.
You're the boss of your superpower.
3 extra sleep hours per day.
I love that.
So stopping time, is that the superpower?
Maybe.
I don't know. 3 extra hours. That's not a superpower.
It is a
That's what I'm
superpower.
going with.
We're calling it a superpower.
Okay.
Metal needles or wood?
Wood. I don't like the clanking of metal needles.
Oh.
Bulky weight or fingering yarn?
DK.
Oh. I don't want any options. I'm picking what I want. You are the boss of your own yarn.
No, I actually love them all. I really
And
enjoy
DK's right there in the middle.
DK's in the middle. So.
Perfect. I like it.
I mean, I like a bulky sweater because it goes quickly.
Yeah.
But probably because of the climate that I'm living in, the DK makes it all year wearable because it
Yes.
gets cold in the summer.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
Bay
yeah,
Area.
yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. I like them all.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at wiffle ball?
Never played it before.
So 10, right?
0.
You can do anything. Say 10. You said I can do anything.
Yeah, I gotta keep it real. I've
Oh.
never played wiffle ball.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be like, I can do anything except wiffle ball.
Would you rather have a terrible long-term memory or short-term memory?
What?
If one of
You
your
had to
memories is
pick.
bad, long-term or short-term, which would you rather?
Oh, this is really sad. I have terrible long-term memory.
Oh no.
Terrible. Yeah. Yeah, like I'll sit with friends and they'll be like, you remember? Oh, my sister will be like, remember when we did this and that? And we went to this place and we ate this food and we had these t-shirts on and I'll be like, what? Seriously, I have the worst memory of any person I know. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I feel like we just like hit a...
No, seriously, it's not spot, but okay.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee, because I have like a million cups a day. But I like tea before bed. Yeah. With my knitting.
And last but not least, the first pattern you ever made.
Ooh, the first one I ever made was a turban, a knit turban.
Oh. Yes. I made one of those too.
Not true.
Where is mine?
I don't know. Oh, you made one?
I made one too. What? It was in a book that I bought. I think it was, I don't remember the book now.
But I lied. Can I tell you the truth?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't mean to lie. But in terms of first knit pattern, yeah, I crocheted a turban that had like a center. You know, like a turban has like a little thing in the middle. Yeah. And so the pattern called for you to wrap the yarn for the little thing, and I thought, I want those V stitches at the time. I want those V stitches in the middle. So I taught myself how to, that was the first thing I ever knit, was like a little rectangle that was maybe, what is that, 1.5 by 3 inches? Yeah, and stockinette stitch, so it taught me how to knit and purl.
Yeah, and cast on and bind off.
Exactly, which is a perfect little swatch, right? And I sewed it on to the, to the forehead. And then because it was successful, it was huge. because my hair is so thick, yeah, it was nice to have like a little turban look. Then I said, well, I could do that. So I knit the whole turban. I found the knit version of that, and I knit the whole turban. So I sort of lied, not completely.
I know, it sounds like your long-term memory is pretty good though.
Yeah.
See, you're okay.
It's all
It's not the worst.
You're so nice to me.
Well, that is all we have for you today. We should probably stop kidnapping you from the event that you're supposed to be at.
No, I'm having such a good time.
Oh, good.
Thank you
Us
for
too.
spending your time with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for sitting down with us. We appreciate you taking your time.
You're very generous.
Thank you very much.
And thank you guys.
Thank you guys for watching. And go follow her. We're going to link her stuff right here. All right. Thanks. Bye. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's our pause?
This is multiple pauses.
This is gonna
it takes me a
Wait for her to out-awkward everyone.
I out-awkward everyone.
For a minute.
There's something wrong. She is.
Oh, this guy's trying to get us to let him in.
Excuse us.
Excuse us.
Damn it, that was so good. It was good.
Have you ever done it? It's called
That's not how you do it, right?
Nadi Shodana. Are you familiar?
Do you do it with your finger?
Yeah. You do it with your fingers. So you
Oh, because I'm sitting here going.
Here, I'm going to teach you a yogic breath. And you place them on your forehead. Okay. And you take these guys, pinky and thumb, and they're the ones that are going to sort of plug.
Alternate.
They're going to plug, yeah? Okay, so let's just do it together.
Okay.
Place these 2 fingers on your forehead. Now, with your pinky, plug your left nostril. Yeah, breathe in through the right. Hold the breath at the top, and then plug the right, release the left, and exhale fully.
This might go in the outtakes.
Inhale.